January 1955, Coronado, California. Hell Week. Ensign John Warren has been awake for 96 hours. He's soaking wet, covered in sand, shivering from hypothermia. The instructors order him and his boat crew into the Pacific Ocean for the 100th time. The water temperature is 58 degrees. Warren's body has no heat left to give. He wades into the surf, lies down in the breaking waves, lets the ocean cover him completely. His body wants to quit. His mind wants to quit. Every fiber of his being screams to stop this insanity and ring the bell, the brass bell on the beach that signals withdrawal from training. Warren doesn't ring the bell. He endures the ocean immersion, stands up when ordered, returns to the beach. The instructors immediately order the next evolution. Log PT, carrying telephone poles while running, doing push-ups, squats, endless physical punishment designed to break candidates psychologically. Warren is the only black man in his training class. He knows the instructors are watching him specifically, waiting for him to quit, expecting him to fail. The Navy in 1955 has never graduated a black underwater demolition team member. The assumption is black candidates can't endure UDT training. They'll quit during Hell Week, like most candidates regardless of race. Warren refuses to give them that satisfaction. He'll quit when white candidates quit, which is to say, he won't quit at all. If he's going to fail, it'll be because the training broke him, not because he gave up. Hell Week continues. The brutal schedule, 5.5 days with 4 hours of sleep total, continuous physical punishment, constant cold water immersion, psychological warfare from instructors who scream that candidates are failures, that they'll never make it, that they should quit now. Warren survives. On the 5th day, Hell Week ends. The surviving candidates, about 30% of the starting class, stand in formation while the instructors congratulate them on surviving the hardest week of military training. Warren is among them. He passed Hell Week. He's on track to become the Navy's first black frogman, the elite warriors who conduct underwater demolition, beach reconnaissance, and special operations. Over the following weeks, Warren completes the rest of UDT training: diving, combat swimming, demolitions, small unit tactics, parachuting. He graduates in spring 1955. The Navy assigns him to Underwater Demolition Team 12, based in Coronado. He becomes a Navy Frogman, the precursor to SEALs, which won't be established until 1962. Warren expects some recognition. He's the first black man to complete UDT training. This is historic achievement, breaking a barrier in one of the military's most elite units. The Navy says nothing. No press release. No official acknowledgement. No recognition that anything historic occurred. Warren serves in UDT for 15 years. He deploys to the Western Pacific, conducts classified missions, serves in Vietnam. He retires in 1970 as a senior chief petty officer after distinguished career. The Navy continues saying nothing. When asked about the first black Navy SEAL, official Navy histories cite someone who qualified in 1962, 7 years after Warren. This erasure persists for decades. Warren's achievement is buried, deliberately ignored, treated as if it never happened. The Navy preferred to credit someone else as first, rather than acknowledge Warren broke the barrier in 1955. The truth emerges in the 1990s, when researchers examining UDT/SEAL history discover Warren's records. They realize the Navy has been lying for 40 years about who was first. In 2021, 66 years after Warren graduated UDT training, the Navy finally, officially acknowledges him as the first black frogman. Warren is 86 years old. Most of his UDT teammates are dead. The recognition comes 6 decades late. This is John Warren's story, the man who broke the color barrier in naval special warfare, then was erased from history because acknowledging him was politically inconvenient. If you want military history about achievements buried for political reasons, subscribe right now. Drop a comment with where you're watching from. The Navy lied about their first black SEAL for 66 years. John Warren joins the Navy in 1952 at age 17. He's from Virginia, enlisted ranks, looking for opportunities and adventure. The Navy in 1952 is recently desegregated. President Truman's 1948 executive order ended official segregation, but integration is incomplete. Informal discrimination persists. Warren serves in conventional Navy roles initially, surface ships, standard enlisted duties. He's competent, ambitious, looking for something more challenging than routine shipboard work. He hears about underwater demolition teams, elite units conducting dangerous missions, beach reconnaissance before amphibious landings, underwater demolition clearing obstacles, intelligence gathering behind enemy lines. UDT is the Navy's most demanding assignment, requiring extraordinary physical fitness and mental toughness. Warren decides to volunteer. The training is notoriously brutal. Most candidates fail. But those who succeed join the Navy's elite, conducting missions regular sailors can't. In 1954, Warren applies for UDT training. He's accepted. Physically fit, mentally sharp, meeting all objective qualifications. The Navy can't reject him based on race anymore. Not officially. If he meets standards, he gets the opportunity. But there's unspoken expectation. Black candidates won't make it through training. The physical demands are too extreme. The psychological pressure too intense. Warren will quit during Hell Week, like most candidates. UDT training begins January 1955 in Coronado, California. The class starts with approximately 100 candidates. By the end, maybe 30 will graduate. The 70% attrition rate is deliberate. UDT needs only the toughest, most determined warriors. The first weeks are physically demanding, but manageable. Running, swimming, calisthenics, basic combat conditioning. Candidates who are seriously unfit wash out immediately. Warren has no problems. He's an excellent athlete, stronger and faster than many classmates. Then comes Hell Week. Hell Week is 5.5 days of continuous training with minimal sleep. 4 hours total across nearly 6 days. The purpose is breaking candidates psychologically, determining who has mental toughness to endure conditions beyond normal human limits. The schedule is relentless. 400. Wake up. Immediate physical training. 500. Ocean swim in 58-degree water. 600. Log PT carrying telephone poles. 700. Obstacle course while soaking wet. 800. More ocean immersion. 900 to 2300. Continuous evolutions. Running, swimming, boat drills, log PT, repeated ocean immersions. Then 4 hours of sleep. Then it repeats. For 5.5 days. The cold is the worst part. Repeated immersion in 58-degree water drains body heat faster than candidates can regenerate it. Hypothermia is constant. Candidates shiver uncontrollably, lose coordination, struggle to think clearly. Warren endures. He's cold, exhausted, in pain. But he refuses to quit. When instructors scream that he should ring the bell, he ignores them. When his body begs for relief, he pushes through. When other candidates quit, and they quit constantly, every hour someone rings the bell. Warren stays. This is the story of the first Black Navy frogman, buried for 40 years because acknowledging him contradicted preferred narratives. If you want military history about erasure and delayed recognition, subscribe right now. Drop a comment with where you're watching from. Warren wasn't acknowledged until he was 86 years old. He survives Hell Week. Approximately 30 candidates remain from the original 100. Warren is among them. The remaining training continues for months. Diving physics, combat swimming, underwater demolition, explosive ordnance, small unit tactics, parachuting. Warren excels at everything. He's a natural frogman, comfortable in water, fearless under pressure, technically competent. He graduates UDT training in spring 1955. He's assigned to UDT-12 based in Coronado. He's officially a Navy frogman, one of the elite warriors conducting special operations. He's also the first black man to achieve this. The Navy knows it, but says nothing. Warren serves in UDT-12 from 1955 through the late 1960s. Underwater demolition teams in the 1950s to 60s conduct various missions: beach reconnaissance, obstacle clearance, intelligence gathering, specialized demolition. Much of the work is classified. During the Cold War, UDTs operate worldwide: Mediterranean, Western Pacific, Caribbean. They conduct training operations, maintain readiness for combat, occasionally perform real-world missions. Warren deploys regularly. He participates in exercises, conducts beach surveys, maintains his diving and demolition qualifications. He's a professional frogman, respected by teammates for his competence and reliability. But he's also isolated in some ways. He's the only black operator in UDT for years. Other UDT members are predominantly white. Some are racist. They object to serving with a black teammate, make discriminatory comments, create hostile environment. Most are professional. They evaluate Warren based on his performance, not his race. UDT culture emphasizes competence. If you can do the job, you're respected. Warren can do the job. His teammates learn to respect him. In 1962, the Navy establishes SEAL teams, sea, air, and land teams designed for unconventional warfare, counterinsurgency, and direct action missions. SEALs are formed from existing UDT personnel. Warren isn't selected for initial SEAL team formation. He remains in UDT, continuing his work as a frogman. The Navy's official narrative
later credits someone else as the first Black SEAL, someone who joined SEAL teams in 1962. This narrative erases Warren's 1955 achievement. By focusing on SEALs specifically rather than UDT broadly, the Navy can claim someone in 1962 was first, while ignoring that Warren qualified 7 years earlier as a Frogman, doing essentially the same work. Warren deploys to Vietnam in the mid-1960s. UDT and SEAL teams conduct extensive operations in Vietnam: river warfare, beach reconnaissance, intelligence gathering, direct action raids. Warren's specific missions are classified. The nature of special operations means much of his work can't be discussed publicly. But his service records show multiple Vietnam deployments, combat operations, hazardous duty. He earns decorations for his Vietnam service. Specific awards are classified, but general records indicate Bronze Stars, Navy Commendation Medals, recognition for combat performance. He continues serving through the late 1960s. By 1970, Warren has 18 years of Navy service, 15 years as a Frogman. He's a Senior Chief Petty Officer, E-8, the second highest enlisted rank. He retires in 1970 at age 35. He served in UDT longer than most operators. The work is physically demanding. Most Frogmen transition to other Navy roles or retire younger. Warren spent his entire enlisted career in special operations.
After retirement, Warren returns to civilian life. He builds a post-Navy career, raises a family, lives quietly. He doesn't publicize his UDT service extensively. Special operations culture emphasizes discretion. Frogmen don't seek publicity or recognition. But Warren is aware of something troubling. When the Navy discusses Black SEALs historically, they credit someone who joined SEAL teams in 1962 as the first. This person is honored, recognized, celebrated for breaking the color barrier. Warren broke that barrier 7 years earlier. In 1955, he became the first Black Frogman. UDT and SEALs are part of the same naval special warfare community. The distinction is administrative, not substantive. Warren's 1955 achievement should be recognized as breaking the barrier. But the Navy prefers the 1962 narrative. Why? Several possible reasons. First, in 1955, acknowledging a Black Frogman contradicts segregationist pressures. The Navy integrated officially in 1948, but Southern congressmen and military traditionalists opposed integration. Publicizing Warren in 1955 creates controversy the Navy wants to avoid. Second, by focusing on SEALs specifically, established 1962, rather than UDT, established World War II, the Navy can claim someone in 1962 was first, technically, while ignoring the earlier achievement. Third, institutional inertia. Once the Navy established the 1962 narrative, changing it requires admitting they were wrong for decades. Organizations resist admitting mistakes. Whatever the reason, Warren's achievement is erased from official history. Navy publications, SEAL histories, museum exhibits, all credit the 1962 person as first. Warren is not mentioned. This erasure persists through the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. Warren occasionally mentions his UDT service when asked, but doesn't campaign publicly for recognition. He knows what he accomplished. He doesn't need Navy acknowledgement to validate it. But the erasure bothers him. He was first. His achievement mattered. Ignoring it rewrites history to exclude his contribution. In the late 1990s, researchers examining UDT/SEAL history discover inconsistencies. Official Navy narratives claim the first Black SEAL qualified in 1962, but UDT records show Warren graduated training in 1955. The researchers investigate further. They find Warren's graduation records, assignment orders to UDT-12, service records showing 15 years in UDT/SEAL community. The documentation is clear. Warren qualified as a Frogman in 1955, 7 years before the person the Navy credits as first. The researchers publish their findings in military history journals. They argue the Navy has been wrong about who was first. Warren deserves recognition as the first Black operator in naval special warfare. The Navy initially resists. Official statements defend the 1962 narrative, arguing SEALs are distinct from UDT. Therefore, the 1962 person was first SEAL, even if Warren was first UDT. This distinction is ridiculous. UDT and SEALs are part of the same community, conduct similar missions, undergo the same basic training. Separating them to maintain the 1962 narrative is institutional face-saving, not historical accuracy. Pressure builds through the 2000s to 2010s for the Navy to acknowledge Warren. Veterans organizations advocate for him. Historians publish detailed accounts of his career. Media coverage highlights the discrepancy between Warren's documented 1955 graduation and the Navy's 1962 narrative. The Naval Special Warfare community internally acknowledges Warren. Active duty SEALs and UDT veterans recognize his achievement. But official Navy acknowledgement doesn't come. Warren himself remains relatively quiet during this period. He's in his 70s to 80s, not seeking publicity, willing to let history speak for itself. When interviewed, he's matter-of-fact. I graduated UDT in 1955. I served 15 years in the teams. That's documented fact. In 2019, the Navy Special Warfare community begins formal review of Warren's case. They examine his service records, training graduation documentation, assignment history. The evidence is overwhelming. Warren graduated UDT training in 1955, served continuously in UDT through 1970, completed the same training and missions as SEALs. The review concludes Warren should be recognized as the first Black operator in naval special warfare. The distinction between UDT and SEALs is administratively true, but substantively meaningless. They're the same community, the same missions, the same warriors. In 2021, 66 years after Warren graduated UDT training, the Navy officially acknowledges him as the first Black naval special warfare operator. The recognition comes through multiple channels. The Naval Special Warfare Command issues official statement recognizing Warren's 1955 achievement. The statement acknowledges previous narratives were incomplete, crediting only the 1962 SEAL while ignoring Warren's earlier UDT qualification. The National Navy UDT SEAL Museum updates exhibits to recognize Warren. The museum previously credited the 1962 person as first. Updated exhibits now acknowledge Warren graduated in 1955. Navy Public Affairs releases statements correcting the historical record.
Official Navy communications now recognize Warren as the first black frogman, breaking the color barrier in naval special warfare 7 years before SEAL teams were established. Warren is 86 years old when this recognition comes. He's gratified, but also realistic. It took them 66 years to tell the truth. Better late than never, I suppose. The recognition doesn't change Warren's life significantly. He's elderly, retired for 51 years, built his life without Navy acknowledgement. The medals and recognition matter symbolically, but don't alter his daily existence. But the recognition matters historically. Warren's achievement is now part of official Navy history. Future generations learning about naval special warfare will know he broke the color barrier in 1955. The 66-year erasure is corrected. Warren dies in 2022 at age 87, 1 year after receiving official recognition. His obituary notes his historic achievement: first black naval special warfare operator, UDT veteran, Vietnam combat veteran, 18 years of service. The obituary also notes the 66-year delay in recognition, a reminder that Warren lived most of his life with his achievement erased from official history. He received acknowledgement only in the final years before his death. The Navy's handling of Warren's case demonstrates how institutions prioritize narratives over truth. For 66 years, the Navy maintained a false narrative about who was first because acknowledging Warren was politically inconvenient. The truth eventually emerged, but only after persistent advocacy from historians and veterans who refused to accept the official narrative. Without their efforts, Warren might have died without recognition, his achievement permanently erased. His case serves as reminder. Official histories are constructed, not discovered. Institutions shape narratives to serve current purposes, sometimes at the expense of historical accuracy. Correcting these narratives requires evidence, persistence, and willingness to challenge official claims. Warren's achievement, surviving Hell Week, graduating UDT training, serving 15 years in naval special warfare, stands regardless of official recognition. He was first in 1955. That fact doesn't change whether the Navy acknowledges it in 1955, 2021, or never. But acknowledgement matters. It tells truth. It honors achievement. It ensures future generations know who actually broke barriers and when. Warren deserved that acknowledgement in 1955. He finally received it 66 years later. Better late than never, but 66 years too late nonetheless.